What's up? Welcome back to Josh's Journey or Josh's Art Journey. My vlog that I've started, episode 2. It was a couple week gap between the first and second episode, and that's because of holidays. You know, today is New Year's Eve, so happy New Year's if you're watching this on the first or at the beginning of the new year, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and so on for the past holidays. So that's the reason it took me a little bit to get to the second episode. And what was cool about how I spent my holiday is that me and my girlfriend actually went on a road trip to Nicaragua. So that was quite an experience, and took us 2 days to get there when we split it into two sections. It really isn't that far. It's a 14-hour drive, but a couple of the borders, depending on what time you get there, can take a little while to cross. And the roads in certain parts are not so great, so you kind of have to drive kind of slow, and otherwise it's just you're not going that fast. So anyway, Google Maps estimates it at around 14-hour drives without like interruption. It probably took us about 10, 11 hours each day, which was not crazy. And so yeah, it was really cool. We would stop in El Salvador in either direction for the night, and we get to see the landscapes of the countries. So like we went through Guatemala, obviously because that's where we're at, then El Salvador, Honduras, and then finally Nicaragua. And since Christine's family is from more of the central area, you get to see a lot of Nicaragua near the border. So, and it's beautiful. They're all beautiful countries and beautiful people. So, and we felt pretty much safe the whole time. So if you ever have the opportunity to take a road trip through Central America, I would recommend it because it was pretty cool, and I had a lot of fun. We went to Granada is where her family's from. And then we flew to an island that she had visited in the past, which is mostly a beach. So we spent Christmas on the beach, and that was pretty cool. First time I've ever done that. What an experience to get there, because it's like you drive to Managua, which is the capital, and you catch a little plane, and the airport is just it's pretty much the minimal of what you need for an airport. So it's just a building. You go through pretty easy security, jump on a little plane, and go on over. Same way coming back. But so it was all a great experience, and I've always heard of like people kind of like, how do you say it? It was kind of like a fantasy, like fantasizing about spending Christmas on the beach. And I don't know if I ever actually imagined myself doing it. And I did it. We did it. So thanks to Christine and she and her desire to go visit her family, which is awesome. And I got to meet some of her family, got to see her home country, and got a lot of experiences. And as an artist, bringing it to the art focus part, it's always good to experience the world and try to see it from the viewpoints of other people and see the world from another perspective. Because as much as I think people can obviously create art regardless of the situation, I think it's always enriched by being able to go to different places, meet new people, see new things, and that's only going to bring something more special to the art. So as you know, I was raised in a environment where hard work is always expected, obviously, and I think that's the same. That's similar for most people in the United States. And so my tendency is to always want to be working and making progress on something, whether that's a drawing or some client work or a class, so on and so forth, which kind of brings the side of like, okay, right now I should probably be working, right? Because the whole point of this vlog is kind of documenting the process of me making a living as an artist, and if I'm not working towards that, then I'm somehow faltering. Now, while that might be true, like I might be losing ground on time that I could spend making progress, you also lose out on the progress you might have made of building yourself as a person, right? Because for me anyway, art is a reflection of the world from my eyes, or a world that I'm trying to create from my eyes. And with limited knowledge and experience, that reflection is going to be limited. So you can look at it two ways. You can look at it as, hey, you don't always need to be productive as a human being to matter. And you can look at it also as, well, you are being productive because this experience is going to add to your toolbox and your tool belt, as to what you can bring as an artist and what might make you stand out as an artist in the future. So I don't shy away from having experiences nowadays. I think on the earlier part of me being here, I was kind of like, no, I need to be working. I need to be doing and making something. And I think that led me to missing out on some opportunities of just experiencing things. So in the last year or so, I've made it a point not to do that anymore, and hopefully I'll be better for it. I find a lot of inspiration in these trips, and I even wrote a list of like a series of illustrations that I might try to do in the future, inspired by these what I see as very specific things to Guatemala, to Central America, and maybe it's not specific to Central America, but it's specific to my experience of Central America, and highlighting, the positivity that is in humanity, whether no matter what kind of conditions you're in, if that makes sense. So maybe I'll do a video specifically on that once I flesh out more thoughts. But the bottom line is that I find it very inspiring. I'm inspired by the trip. It was at times exhausting, but it was worth it, and I look forward to what I make from that. So last time I talked a little about my 3D journey, and so I started in Blender, and I think I showed you some of the Blender stuff and the character that I was making. But I paused that class because the certification class that I want to take, or certification like school, it's like a proper online school. So you like enroll and you apply and so on. That's more geared towards another program or other programs that that are not free. So the Blender class, I put that on pause because the Blender's the free program. And I moved over to a class about Maya, which is another 3D program. And this course, this school, this online program focuses on Maya and ZBrush. So I kind of pivoted, moved over to that program because there's a 30-day free trial, and I wanted to get as much as I could within those 30 days. And as a future student, I think I might be able to get around the payment here shortly. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and just show you some of the stuff I was able to create. And some of the stuff that I've made, I just didn't feel like it would show well. So let's see. Let me make sure this is actually, yep. So this is a little chess set I made. Let's see. Here's a better picture. It's a little grainy, but we kind of tweaked the settings to see what would come out. And I think I showed you some of the pieces that I made before. We went and did this barrel. This instructor likes doing barrels because they're simple enough, but also can show you a lot of different ways to do this. So what we were able to practice was texturing and rendering, different lighting, and you can see we just made some spheres with different textures and stuff like that. That's mostly what we got for the class. Like I'm not rushing through the class. I'm trying to take my time. Let's see. See, my subscription should be ending soon. Trying to take my time. Maybe it already ended. No, I don't think so. Taking my time and really trying to absorb this stuff. But it does. But I'm learning a lot, and obviously, well, not obviously. One of the things that I couldn't work on while I was on the trip was this program, and pretty much anything 3D, because my laptop can't handle it. So my computer is something that I built for this specific purpose, and that's where I'm at. So with the new year coming in, I'm gonna try to double down on that and keep moving. One of the things that I kind of struggle with is, and it's maybe not a struggle, it's just a question of priority and decision making, because I'm learning Maya and eventually ZBrush for the class so that I could skip some of the requisite classes and I could save some money on that, right? But I feel like I could move through the Blender stuff faster. If that makes any sense? And in my mind, I was like, well, if I get through this Blender stuff, I could start doing client work and getting paid for this. But I got to balance those two urges, and I think getting through the Maya part first so that I could skip some of these prerequisite classes needs to be the priority. And then I want to be learning Blender as well as Maya because it looks better on your resume. And for whatever reason, if I can't get a job where they use Maya, then hopefully I could use Blender to do freelance work and stuff like that. So, all of this is kind of based around me making money to be able to support myself as an artist, and it's been a process. So I'm figuring it out, and you guys are gonna be there for the ride. That being said, I've also created. So one of the reasons I didn't just enroll in the class for the beginning of January was because of cost, and effectively, I didn't feel comfortable taking on loans, and I didn't get approved for one of the loans that would have been for this class. But so finances is an issue, is an obstacle that I have to overcome for this class, and which is why I'm focusing on not only on learning and taking these classes, but also I've made a focus of getting client work and making money to save up and pay for this class. So the strategy is to figure out how Upwork works. So I know a lot of like Upwork is this one of the Upwork and Fiverr are these two kind of big platforms that people use for freelance, but I had strayed away from them because it took up from when I started it, like it took up a lot of time, and I wasn't seeing a lot of benefit, and no one was hiring me, obviously. So I thought it was just kind of a waste of my time. But now that it's more important for me to be making money. I'm trying to figure it out, and so in the last couple of weeks, I've been applying for Upwork, kind of watching videos how to use Upwork, what's the best way to go about things, and I got an Upwork contract. So I got a little job, a little contract, an illustration contract, and I was able to work on it while we were traveling, which is cool. Like the client was super chill about the schedule because of the holidays, and but I still tried to like push myself to get some work done, and I was able to deliver something pretty much by the end of the trip. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about my process of getting the job. So all of these platforms are a little bit, kind of a little notorious for being platforms that drive down the price of this kind of work. So with that in mind, one of my strategies was to like find decent level budgets and just cut them in half. So a lot of these projects that they post, they'll have a budget, and sometimes they're like hourly pay. Sometimes they're like one payment, like a sum total, and you could split it up by milestones or whatever. And so I just took one that I thought was a decent price, and I cut it in half, and that was my bid. I think that helped me get attention. But what I was lucky to get was like a pretty understanding and pretty flexible client, because when he didn't come in and say like try to get my price lower, because in theory you could be like, as a client, you could tell the artist, hey, there's these 5 other people that applied, and they're just more, they're $50 more than you, but I like your work, so can you bring your price down $50? That's just things you can do as someone with the upper hand, right? And if you're a person that really needs a project or really needs some money, you might do that. But what this client did, and I commend him for that, is he said, well, there's about 4 or 5 other artists. They bid around the same price, so don't worry about that. But I want to see a sample, and then I'll choose it based on the quality and how you compare it to everyone else. And a lot of people will do that and say, I'm not paying you, but I need a sample. And that's kind of frowned upon, but it's not unheard of. And luckily he was like, I'll pay for the sample. I was like, dope. Like, this guy is really on point, and I don't know if this is, I'm new still to the platform, so maybe it's more well known among these clients to do this. But anyway, I was happy to do the sample and get paid for it. I did it. I was the best. In his words, I was the best quality, closest to what he was looking for. So I got to work, and it's an ongoing project. So after this portion of it is done, which I just completed, and I just he sent the payment, and so payment takes a little while to hit. But effectively I finished the first part, and now we're moving on to another project. And now I have a client, and this is going to the account that I'm saving up for the school. So I think I'm gonna tweak the process of like bidding for these projects though, because it's still pretty low. Like it's not crazy. It's like the contract was like $150 for 5 panels, and that's fine. But once you start calculating the hours, it's not a whole lot. And then luckily, this guy's he has wanted a few revisions. Wasn't crazy amount, wasn't tiny. It was just like it was more than one and less than. It was about 3 revisions, I think, maybe 4. But he always offered to pay extra for extra revisions, and I wasn't going to say no to that because it's more time, and it was still under his total budget that he had kind of put out. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll keep bidding for work, and I'll keep kind of like trying to get client work. And what's cool about this platform, Upwork, is that it kind of handles the money for you. So like it puts it in like escrow and stuff like that. So it's a way to it's like a sense of security, even though they take a little percentage. But it's kind of like in place of a contract, right? And so you won't have to write your own contract. Which brings me to my next point is one of my clients for a logo, which I don't do that many logos. It's not like my specialty, but I'll do it obviously because I think I have some skill to execute on a logo. I'm not the best logo designer by any stretch of the imagination. So I took on this client a couple months ago, came up with some first stage kind of logos based on what he gave me, and I kind of never heard back. Luckily, I had kind of stipulated let's get half payment up front and then half when I'm done. And I just left it at that. I didn't write up a contract saying like these stipulations. You could always put into contracts like how many rounds of review per stage. Like if you're doing a sketch stage, you might do like 1 revision at that stage is included. Any more revisions is going to be X amount extra. So I didn't do that. I was just like, I had just done a logo client. It was pretty easy like to work with. There wasn't a lot of revisions. I was able to create something that was right exactly what they needed pretty quickly. And I just had that fresh in my mind. I was like, well, it'll be the same or similar. Well, it wasn't. What they wanted wasn't as clear. What I perceived as what they might want did not come out good. Like the first round of ideas, I didn't think they were the best, but it put like in my head I was taking everything they wanted and putting it into something that was halfway palatable. But I don't think ultimately they weren't that good. I did come up with one that didn't have exactly what they had said they wanted, but I think was the best one. And so I got to find a balance of like what people say they want and what, based on my experience with these designs, what they really want. Anyway, the point is I sent the first round. They never got back to me. It was like a month or 2 months. And then they emailed me while I was on vacation saying, let's go ahead and get going again. Sorry for, leaving you hanging. And so I found myself in this position where I was like, oh, I should have created a contract that said X, Y, and Z. And so that's my advice. Whatever work you're trying to do, big or small, just make a contract. Like you could, like Square has these, the Square app, the Square website has these formats that you could pretty much plug in pretty easily. You could find terms and conditions like outlines or like kind of how do you call it, formats, or essentially like these generic terms and conditions. Go in and change them a little bit and just attach it, and it's just helpful to line those things out in the front end so that both parties understands what's happening. And I knew that, I just didn't do it. I guess I got lazy. I got, you know, whatever. I had rose-colored glasses with the last client for logo. Anyway, I have 2 clients right now, and I'm grateful for that. Hopefully, as long as we, it still works out. And so, yeah. And then I'm going to reach out to old clients, kind of bring in my old sales background. That was one of the processes of building a pipeline when I was in sales. If a client said they have a project coming up and they tell you that they will eventually want to do more work with you, you kind of just make a note and kind of time it, reach out to around when they say they want to be heard from, want to hear from you again, and see if you can get that project going. So I'll be doing that. And then besides that, I'll probably be applying for some part-time jobs, just in case I can't get this this client work flow building, which is fine. But that's about it. Yeah, that's where I'm at in these couple weeks. Seems like a lot of stuff has happened, and I guess that's true. It is a lot of stuff that has been going on, but moving right along. Let's see, what else? (2023). I guess I should finish it off with what I hope to achieve in 2023, given it's the beginning of 2023 when you're watching this probably. And yeah, I hope by the end of 2023, I'm a much different artist than I am now. I'm definitely a different artist than I was at the beginning of 2022. And I would say that I'm better, much better than I was, like by a lot. And I hope I could keep that trend going, be a much, much better artist by the end of 2023. And hopefully we'll have some type of dependable income and a livable income by that time, because we'll be back in the States, and I need to be making United States money, because man, that's something we get spoiled out here with. I say spoiled, but it's just certain things are, this is just a lower cost of living out here. Even going down to Nicaragua, I got some Nikes for $40 out there anyway. Gotta prepare myself for the old American costs, but I'm not that's just another obstacle to overcome, and so that doesn't scare me. So I'm excited for 2023, and if you're watching this series throughout 2023, I hope this can bring you some enlightenment, some insight, maybe some inspiration, and I hope you have a great 2023 yourself. So let me know what you want to happen in 2023, and maybe what you want to see me make in 2023. Anyway, Happy New Year. Appreciate you.